Hello. So, as already announced last week, I cannot make it today, unfortunately, but I'm super happy to be able to share what we're working on anyway. I'd like to um, probably do this in three parts. One is giving some context, two is um, sharing about what we've done so far and what we're done and what we're doing, and then what we need. So, context is I don't really need to reiterate that here because I think we're all pretty much aligned on this. But um, uh, to put it in some blunt pictures, um, we've navigated ourselves into a situation based on the idea of a bunch of white Western males from a couple of hundred years ago that is based on reductionist thinking, has created very powerful tools, but at the same time, the same tools and reductionist thinking is bringing the entire species towards the brink of life. And so we need to do something. And whether we are fast enough to react as a civilization or not, it seems that the best design to move forward into both a good future where we engage in something like that we could call civilization design, what I think we in this group are part of engaging in, or whether we hit the wall and have to deal with it. Organizing ourselves around and in small communities that are self-sufficient and self-reliant is probably a good way, the best way forward. Communities around 1,000 to 4,000 people, we can discuss why those numbers, but there's some thoughts behind that. And that are sufficiently self-sufficient and self-reliant to be potentially entirely independent, but at the same time dependent enough from other communities in their bioregion to keep peace. Okay, so that's the situation. So my partner in several activities, Sebastian, and I were started thinking about where can we bring this to scalable action as quickly as possible. Quite a while ago, 1.5 years ago or something. And we thought that maybe applying digital technologies, which are highly scalable by definition, in conjunction with existing communities, to make those more self-sufficient and self-reliant based on the digital technologies, we could make a scalable and fast progress. And for several reasons, we decided to focus on Africa. Pretty pragmatic, because on the one hand, because it's pretty accessible from Europe, time zone wise. It also, if you look at the for inequality corrected human development index, it's definitely the place with the most potential for development / hardship at this point. So we started going into conversations with people all over the continent. All sorts of conferences that we organized, continuous conversations with an emerging group of people out of those conferences. And we systematically asked the question and drilled down into it, and you can read up all of that on the website. What is the best leverage point for systemic change for an existing village in rural Africa towards self-sufficiency and self-reliance. And what emerged out of those conversations and out of the process was the post-harvest value chain. So if we disrupt the post-harvest value chain with existing technologies from Africa, we have the potential to have positive side effects up and downstream. Okay, so phase 2, we went and landscaped the market of startups in the post-harvest value chain in Africa, and we found about 650 startups. Then we ran a project with ESCP, which is a business school in Paris, Berlin, London, where Sebastian and I both teach. And we distilled them down, or the group distilled them down to roughly 300 qualified startups in that field. All right. Now we are in the process of identifying communities in Africa to run an MVP with. The MVP should address something between a small community, between 10 or 50 smallholder farmers, and identify the most impactful challenge and the 2-3 solutions that we can bring in from somewhere across Africa to solve these challenges. So we have one community in South Africa, in Limpopo, that we're working with. We are beginning to work with another community in Ghana. We also have other options in Nigeria, Kenya, Ethiopia. Which brings me to number 3. So we're currently, up to now, Sebastian and I have driven and financed this out of our pockets, but now we need to scale this up and need to have some cash to run the MVPs. We assume, or our calculation shows, that we need roughly 150,000 euros per MVP to run this properly. After which we will begin scale up. So how could that look? Let's take Ghana as an example. We have access to a community of 25,000 women there who are all smallholder farmers. We can start working with about 20 and then set up the process of scaling it up. Now, what we intend to do, and that's the last remark, after the MVP, we intend to run this on a for-profit effort. We start with a non-profit and we keep the knowledge, all the IP in the non-profit. We scale up using the market mechanics of a for-profit, bringing impact investors in. And at the point where we start losing decision power in that for-profit, because the for-profit will originally be owned fully by the non-profit, we will sell it to the people who use it. So basically to the community. And we can do that because through the digital technologies, we have a communication branch to all of them, which we'll also use for our impact measurement. So that's Motherland in a nutshell. You can check it out on motherland.earth.